And we are back. It's week 3 on the NFL. It's Tag, I think. Bloody hell, good start. Tag's not here today. I think I was lining up my next line. Bish, we both had a good week last week. I'm excited for week 3. I'll just get it out of the way. Tag sadly can't be here. He's got a bit of business to attend to. So, yeah, we'll miss Tag, but we'll run over his bets. Not doing too well on the betting side of things as of yet. So, Tag, with a bit of pressures on you this week to come to the dance floor. But, Bish, how are you? And how do you think the season's going for you so far?
Yeah, I'm good. Like you said, a bit of success last week. I went 2 from 3. So, yeah, in profit, which is nice. And sat at 500 on the year, 3 from 3. So, yeah, look, all right. The one that let me down, and it's typical, isn't it? Mike Evans, that we all thought was the banker, was actually the one that let me down. With him having, Chris Godwin taking pretty much having an amazing game. It looked like Mike Evans was targeted and defended well, and Chris Godwin just had a field day. So yeah, Austin Eckler doing his stuff again. I think that's a great line. The play on Monday night, I think, this week, so didn't quite make it for this show. But again, personally, I'll be looking at that line, seeing where that's at. So yeah, 2 out of 3, and I had JT for the touchdown treble. That one didn't come in, so week 2 goes on, and we've still not nailed that one. But hopefully this week. So yeah, not a bad start, but not as good as you, Joe.
I guess you're winning the numbers game on me on the amount, but I've hit a 10 to 1. So yeah, big week last week. It was actually a Bet365 bet boosted pick of mine. So if the sponsorship come in, I did lose you a bit of money this week. Sorry, Bet365, but I landed the big one. I had DK and the New England. The Seattle and the New England game. DK and Ramondre Stevenson both having incredible days. Obviously, DK with the early touchdown got that one out of the way. I think he pretty much did it all in one play for me. Got his in one play. Ramondre, pretty later on in the second half, had a slower start, 25 yards in the first half. So we're like, well, odds dictate, but you never know with game script in them second halves. And then he had a few big runs and got the touchdown, and we were celebrating a 10 to 1 win. I've had quite a few messages saying thanks for getting me the money in. I think I won Tag a substantial amount of money. So I'm really happy, and I think I've took the motivation of my big bet and gone a bit crazy this week, Bish. So you might be calling me daft after today, but I'm going for another big win, and I'm keeping my energy going.
Good on you.
I'll not mention the other bets, Bish, because they're all losing. I didn't do that well on the other one. It only takes one to cover the rest of them. So, happy week, and we'll crack on. Bish, I think, easy one. Take us through your first bet of the afternoon.
So straight in, and I think we're starting to see some trends now. 2 weeks in, 3 weeks now. Game week 3, and that's it. I'm just feeding on matchups. So my first one up is Tony Pollard over 59.5 rushing yards, and that they're coming up against the Green Bay Packers. And I'm sort of looking at the Packers now. I think we've notoriously spoke about it since we've done this show, seasons, a couple of seasons now. They're not very good against the run. They struggle defending that run. Week 1, they gave up 109 yards to Barkley. Week 2, 103 to just Jonathan Taylor. And Pollard's having a lot were disappointed in him last year at Dallas. They thought they'd get more out of him, but I think he looks good so far. After 2 weeks, he got 82 yards against the Bears, which is notoriously a tough defense to come up against, and 62 last week against the Jets as well. So, 2 good defenses. He looks like the main man in Tennessee. He's getting all the carries. And so I just think it works out perfectly for him. The only caveat with this one maybe is to look at is rumours are Jordan Love has made a miraculous recovery and could play in this game. If he does play in this game, that opens up the Packers offense a little bit more than it does with Malik Willis. I was expecting Malik Willis and in that a sort of tight running game. If Jordan Love comes in, he will throw the ball. But I think Tennessee, stick to the guns. They're good defensively and they run the ball. So, I'm expecting Tony Pollard to to reach this figure. So yeah, Tony Pollard over 59.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, like it, Bish. Can't argue against any. They looked like they were going to do a decent job in the first quarter of the game. They were slowing the run down, and then come the third quarter, I think they were on 100 plus, and it was another Green Bay masterclass at defending the run. It's getting a bit frustrating now. We've had it for, I think, as long as we've done the show. I've joked about Green Bay's lack of rushing defense, and I don't. It's clearly not changing anytime soon. And I think I'm with you. I think Tony Pollard is a great running back, and Tennessee are just going to slow this game down as much as possible. I'll take you through my first one. It's actually on the same game, Vish, on the other way around. Probably as a fan, I'm a bit biased. It's my Bet365 bet boost of the week. I've got Josh Jacobs touchdown. Josh Jacobs 75 plus rushing. Green Bay to win the game. That's at 4-1. Just to explain myself a bit here, obviously. I've got Josh Jacobs getting a touchdown. I think either quarterback in the room, Love or Willis, Jacobs is going to get his action. He's had a fantastic year so far. He only struggled the first half of game number 1, which I think pretty much 90% of teams other than New Orleans did. He's got into it. Last week he just looked brilliant, looked unbelievable with Malik Willis kind of feed him off of him. Rushing a few bit himself, and it was a good 1-2 QB running back partnership there. I think they, like you said, got away with it with not a great, with a pretty good matchup for them. Sorry, and I think they've just got too much for Tennessee. I'm just not. I think this is a gut feeling. I think Packers win this one. If Jordan Love's in, I think they comfortably beat Tennessee. If Malik Willis in, I did like what I was seeing from Green Bay. They just obviously relied on Jacobs. Brilliant running back, one of the top in the league. Obviously won the rushing title 2 seasons ago now. And then Malik Willis did a good enough job. He rushes. He was very safe with the ball, which I think you need when you're doing a rush-based offense. And then he actually hit the touchdown throw, which everyone were nervous he wouldn't be able to do. He got that one out of the way. I think build up on his confidence if it is him. And Tennessee at the moment, I think, are playing catch-up. Will Levis, awful 2 games, had some really bad moments, but I'm quite sad for him because I don't mind him as a player, but he's not had a good start to the season. Confidence is just going to keep getting lower. The defense has been good, as you said, but they did let up 75 receiving yards to the running back. So I think that shows Jacob is probably going to have a more receiving based game. But I think with the amount of action, he rushed 53 times with Willis last game, and I think if you run 53 times, you're getting over 75 rushing yards as probably as a base level. I think it would have to be a really, really bad day. You'd have to be facing the top rush defense in the league. Otherwise, I think he's having a good day. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen both got touchdowns against them last week. So again, in the red zone, the rushing, it's not stacking up like it is for the rest of the pitch. And I think Josh Jacobs, Green Bay, have a great win. 4-1. Go get yourself a bit of money.
Nice, yeah. And like you said, the last 2 games he's covered this 75 plus yards. And like you said, if it is Willis in there, he's going to get a hell of a lot of volume, and he will get that volume. The only thing he's not done in his first 2 games is score a touchdown. So we'll need that one. Obviously, that's where I think you get the big boost, don't you? So yeah, hopefully he can add a touchdown. And I think the yards are in. Yeah.
All right, take us through your second bet, Bish.
Bet number 2, and again, it's another matchup that I'm liking. It's Derrick Henry over 66.5 rushing yards, coming in there at 10-11. And this Dallas D, it's they're athletic, they're fast, they're agile, but they're very small. And it showed last week the struggle against physical, direct sort of ball carriers. And this is Derrick Henry to a T. Obviously, look at the size of him. That's what he's based himself on in Tennessee, and what he will do here. He's been used a bit sparingly. Harbaugh came out after week 1 and sort of said, we're looking to sort of make sure he's ready for the back end of the season. But they've started 0-2 here. They can't afford to lose this game. They lose this one. Personally, I don't think they make the playoffs. There's not many teams that have gone 0-3, started the year, and then made the playoffs. So this is a huge game for them. And I think on that alone, his volume, they can't rest him now. They've got to go all out against this Dallas Cowboys side. Week 1, the Cowboys, they gave up 93 yards on the ground to the Browns. Last week against the Saints, well, that was unbelievable. They gave up 190 rushing yards. 115 to Kamara, who also scored 4 touchdowns in that as well. So the Cowboys are reeling, against that run, and I just think that's where Derrick Henry comes in. They sort of leaned on him last week when they build up a big lead against the Raiders. They gave him 18 carries, he got 84 yards, and I think we see something similar to that again, north of 15 carries, probably up to 20 carries, I think, and I think that volume gets him over the 66.5 rushing yards that we need for this one.
Yeah, completely with you. And I should have really got my stats up. I didn't know you were going to chuck this. Well, I did know. I should have checked. I didn't know you were going to chuck this in, but I didn't check. But I swear, it's too late to check up the stats, but I've had Derrick Henry in a couple of fantasy leagues, and I swear for the first 2 weeks of every season, he always starts off slow. For whatever reason, it takes him time to get into him. Because I remember 3 years ago, I famously traded him week 2 after we had a shocking start. I thought, oh no, the downturn that everyone keeps saying is eventually going to have. I thought, oh no, it's starting. Then the next game, he hit about 200 rushing yards, and I think he did the same last year. Everyone starts doubting him, and he just picks it up. I don't know what it is mentally, don't know what it is game plan wise, but I think he just builds up into the season. Maybe, as John Harbaugh says, tries to save himself and build up his fitness, his legs, and get into it. I think he's got to be in for, like you said, a big week here. And yeah, I think this is. I say this and it's a curse now, but this is the banker of the week, Bish. I think this is a steady one. Get the money ticking, and hopefully the other two come in to get you your money.
I think what you're saying there, it's just the sheer size of him. Constant battering. Eventually, it takes its toll. Like you said, it might take a couple of weeks for to get there, but eventually, as a defender, you're a bit worn out. Fourth quarter of games, you're a bit worn out. It's cold. You've got to put your body in front of him to stop him, and after a while, after 20 times of doing it, eventually you get worn down.
Yeah, and the season, it's a pretty short season, but it's the most physical sport in I think the world, and yeah, it definitely adds up the contact, doesn't it? So by week 3, like you said, a bit less fit, the defenders are a bit less strong, a bit more tired, and the injuries and other things start ticking up, and they're not quite as sharp as there was week 1 and 2 on the rush defence. So yeah, with your Bish, easy banker this one. Touch wood. I'm on a wood. Touching wood. My week 2 bet, Bish. I've got an interesting one for you. And it's based on something you were talking about earlier on in the show, a Chris Godwin based bet builder. I've got a Chris Godwin touchdown, Chris Godwin 75 plus receiving yards, and Chris Godwin 5 plus receptions. I saw this one, I saw the lines, and I've kind of crafted it myself. I don't want to say I'm some sort of artist in the bet building world, but I think this is as crafty as you can get. These are all the lines, and I were dead shocked. They're against the Denver Broncos. We all know how good Pat Surtain is, but Chris Godwin's in the slot. Mike Evans will be guarded by Pat Surtain, which doesn't take Mike Evans out because he is a top level receiver and can beat anyone one-on-one because he's such a big body, can get the catches. But I think the majority of the passing game is going to go to Chris Godwin here. The cornerback depth at Denver falls off a cliff after Pat Surtain. That's something they've struggled with for the last couple of years. They're trying to find that number 2 to go with him. Don't think they've quite found it yet, especially not the slot receiver, the slot cornerback. Sorry. in the last in the 2 games of this season, he scored a touchdown both games. He's had 75 plus receiving yards both games, and he's had 5 plus receptions both games. I can't see a world where this is his line. They know something I don't, and let's see, because all the stats, all the indications of how well he's playing, his connection with Baker says everything but the touchdowns guaranteed here.
Yeah, Baker's had a wild start, and this, the scary thing is if they win this game, they go 3-0. All of a sudden, Baker Mayfield, you're talking MVP sort of candidate, aren't you? And that's some story for Baker. But yeah, Chris Godwin, I think his partner, possibly wife, came out towards the back end of last year and said, he's just where's his usage. But again, this year they've put him in the slot, perfect role for him. And like you said, Pat Surtain will be on Mike Evans, frees up Godwin. And it's just carrying on from where he left off last week. He had a massive game against Detroit. I can see similar against Denver here. My only worry is they have Joy running the ball as well. But I think the team they are pass first. And Baker, he's playing with, he's in a great groove and playing with confidence at the minute. So I think 5 plus receptions. I think he gets the volume, and on the back of that comes the points.
Yeah, with everything, like I said, the touchdowns are the toughest thing to gamble on in NFL, isn't it? Because you can do all the work to get them to that red zone, and then the QB runs it in on a broken play, or something happens that you're devastated on. But yeah, everything but the touchdown here to me, Bish says bank. So let's hope we see another Chris Godwin touchdown in week 3 and keep on the good form.
Like it.
Bish, 3rd and final bet, and I like this one. It's something a bit different.
It is a bit different. Bet number 3, and again, it's a matchup, and it pains me because it's a 49ers player I'm picking here. It's Juwan Jennings over 40.5 receiving yards, and they're coming up against the Rams. And for those who watched the Rams last week, they lost by 31 points to the Cardinals. In defense, that they relied on Aaron Donald a lot, but I think what's been gone unnoticed is Ernest Jones, the middle linebacker, got traded to the Tennessee Titans, and he was actually the green dot. He was the captain on defense. He had the plays called into him, and he organised the defense. And I think they're really missing that. It's a young bunch with quite a sort of senior secondary, and they're getting burnt, if I'm honest. And add to that, Juwan Jennings, probably a name probably unfamiliar for some, with the 49ers. But he's a very good blocking tight end, but he's had a great start to this year. And I think some of that comes with Brandon Ayuk, as obviously had contract issues. He's missed training. So Jennings has had the jump on him there. He had a great first week, 5 out of 5 catches for 61 yards. Last week was a bit more quiet with everyone else coming back. But this week, the 49ers, the report is, obviously we know Christian McCaffrey's out. But the report is Deebo Samuel is going to miss it with a calf injury. And then last night I saw as well, George Kittle has missed training with a hamstring tighten up. So early in the season, I'd be very shocked if they risk George Kittle, especially, against what is technically a weaker opponent. And I think that, it hurts me to say that. And, that's where Juwan Jennings comes in for me. We've got Brandon Ayuk one side. I think Juwan Jennings is the next piece. And I think this line is quite low. I wouldn't be surprised if this jumps quite a bit if Kittle is officially ruled out. So, yeah, Juwan Jennings over 40.5 receiving yards.
Like it, Bish, yeah. I think they've had a massive injury crisis in the receiving corps, haven't they, as you said. I think you've done your research here, another banker. But I think it's interesting, like you said, because it's a bit of an unknown name. It's always fun betting on someone who you've not quite analysed and studied a million times over and watched, and watching someone else get a chance. It's always fun. You'll be cheering him on, and when you hear the name, you'll be like, "Oh wow, that's my man who I've got the bet on." Not a name you hear all the time, and I think it makes it that more fun when you land the bet.
I need him to land it because I've thrown him in a few flex spots as a wild card for fantasy.
I noticed that tight end spot going on to fantasy. It's a risk, but I like it. bravery wins in fantasy, and you're definitely taking the risk there. I'll take you on to my third and final bet, and this is I'm calling it a JoeMe bet builder because it's ginormous. I've got Chris Olave over 61.5 receiving yards, Saquon Barkley over 22.5 receiving yards, Rashid Shaheed over 47.5 receiving yards, Derrick Henry over 1.5 rushing yards.
Derek Carr.
Oh, who did I say? Sorry,
Henry.
Oh, that would be.
So that's a banker over 1.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, it would be 14-1 if that were the case. Derek Carr over 1.5 rushing yards. Obviously, it's the New Orleans Saints versus Philadelphia Eagles. You've got the Saints who have just been gunslinging. Derek Carr doing Michael Jackson dancing. No one predicted that. No one predicted them doing so well, but they're looking like the top offense in the league. Alvin Kamara's going crazy. Rashid Shaheed's gone crazy. I think we're in for something. I think we're in for a good game here. I don't think either team's defense is crazily yet. I don't think New Orleans has been fully tested. Dallas tried, but it won. I think the game were over very quickly, and obviously Carolina in the first week's a dud of a test anyway. This is the first one where I think the Eagles can gunsling with them, and I think this is where Chris Olave. I've got him in my fantasy team. I was nervous about putting him in here because he's been quiet so far. He's been quiet so far this year. He landed over 61.5 receiving yards last week. Got 81. So I think this is a steady bet. Like I said, I think there'll be a lot of touchdowns in this game, in my opinion. The over/under is over 50 points. So someone has to move the sticks here. As you said, Philadelphia's cornerback core is just been atrocious so far. They are really struggling. Like you said about the Rams, these old legs that are just getting beat for speed, getting beat for energy. And I think Chris Olave, they now have to get him going even further. He's the wide receiver one on the team, and I think they're going to throw him the ball often here on cornerbacks that I don't think will be able to guard him. You've got Saquon Barkley. If it is this gunslinging game and New Orleans do get 40 plus points again, Philly can keep up because they've got the best receiving running back in the league, in my opinion, along with Allen, is my man Saquon Barkley. The line's 22.5 receiving yards. I think if they blow the coverage once, they're getting this easy.
Yeah.
Dogs are fighting in the background. If you can hear about that, I've just heard that one. So sorry for the viewers. They're knocking live out. Rashid Shaheed. Rashid, 1 second. We are back. The dogs have stopped fighting. Hopefully, if you hear him again, I do apologise. I'll carry on. But Rashid Shaheed, over 47.5 receiving yards. He does this in one play. He's had an incredible year so far. No one expected him to be the wide receiver one on the Saints at the moment. I think definitely the talent's with Olave, but Shaheed's been going deep and Carr's been connecting on him every week so far. And again, the cornerbacks are the worst ranked cornerback duo in the league. Shaheed is going to get open. He's got too much speed. One reception, I think, does this. Derek Carr, over 1.5 rushing yards. The one thing Eagles do have is a bit of a pass rush. I think they'll get Carr moving. They're going to try to get after him because they can't give him time. To be fair to Derek, he does have his doubters, but you give Derek Carr time, he does deliver. I think they'll have to get him moving, and I think he hits this rushing yard pretty comfortably. He did it in week 1. He didn't need to in week 2 against Dallas because Kamara was just going crazy. I don't think it will be as effective. They're a bit better at defending the run than Dallas, as you said, are Philadelphia. So I think they get him moving. Carr does a few scrambles, as he did in week 1, and he has some fun, maybe even gets himself a touchdown if he does have that much joy. So 14-1 Bish. huge game, huge points, and I think this is the path to victory for both teams.
Yeah, I think we can see some points in this one. It's sort of building that way into it, and again, the resurgence of Derek Carr. The Saints win this again. The 3-0. We're talking about Derek Carr, in that MVP race. So, and it's good to see him throwing downfield. I think last year we sort of he looked like he was stuttering. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator, the sort of scheme last year, but he looked reluctant to throw it. And this year, like you said, that connection with Shaheed, it's won a game so far this year. Hopefully it continues in this one. And he lands that. Like you said, this will be one throw for Shaheed, and he'll land that straight away. So Barkley's been in and around that mark. So yeah, I can't see that being an issue for Barkley. Like you said, he's heavily involved. He will get that. Chris Olave, yeah, if we're expecting points, I think he's got to get that yardage, hasn't he? So I think for me that's the one. Chris Olave, Derek Carr over 1.5 rushing yards. I'd like to see him sneak another one in to see another Michael Jackson celebration. So I'm hoping he can get in there from the 2-yard line and nail that one.
Yeah, let's do it, Bish. It's 14-1. I'm landing the big one. I've got a good feeling about this. I think the matchup is just juicy for Barkley, juicy for the wide receivers, for the Saints. So yeah, let's hope for a big day, and let's land another big odds one. I've gone big this week, Bish. So I'm hoping I return some people some money at the end of Sunday night.
Nice.
Bish, I'll let you take us through Tag's Treble again. Apologies, not here. He's got a lot going on. So, Bish, take us through Tag's Treble.
Yeah, Tag's Treble. So he's coming in with straight up. It's the Bears versus the Colts, under 43.5 points. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, -6.5 on the handicap. And the Las Vegas Raiders, -5 on the handicap as well. So that treble. And I'm not sure on the odds on that one. I'm not too sure, but
it's 6-1. My apologies, I've missed that on the thing. It is 6-1. It's a good bet. He's gone big. Yeah.
So you've got two favourites there. So as we've spoke about the Bucs coming up against Denver, so he's backed against his own Denver side there as well, quite heavily. And the Raiders, what a start they made! A big win last week. Obviously, cost Taggy's treble last week, back in the Ravens with a big start against the Raiders. So yeah, he's back in the Raiders this week as they come up against Carolina. So I'm liking these. My only stickler is probably the Raiders one. We've seen that quarterback change. The Panthers, they were pretty bad. Let's be honest. The first 2 weeks, they've made a change to Andy Dalton, and he's a vet. He's not going to be spooked, I don't think, by certain things. He's sort of come in with nothing to lose, really. He's got that experience, so maybe the offense is a little bit better. I still expect the Raiders to win that game, but I think that could be. I think the Bucs cover that. Bears, Colts, unders. I can see that. The Bears defense. Anthony Richardson wowzers at times, but he comes up with some very bad misses as well at times in terms of his accuracy throwing the ball. So that could lead to a low scoring game there. What do you think, Joe?
I think for my fantasy team, I'm hoping he does really well, to be honest. So I'm probably not wanting it to be as good as low as this other game. But yeah, the Bears defense has been very good so far. Like you said, I think they throw a lot of coverage. You've seen what they've all said about it. So yeah, I think it's been pretty good. Richardson, I think he's guaranteed a touchdown or two, but can they get up to 43.5 combined? Bears offense has been really bad so far. I think that's a pretty safe line, to be honest. I think for both teams, or for one team to get 30 points or 35 points, or for both to average around 20 plus points, it's a big ask with how bad both offenses have looked altogether. So yeah, I think the rest of them bankers could be a fun day. Could be a fun day. I always get excited on this show, Bish. I think, you know what, we've all
That's
gone
the beauty of it.
And I get into it. And then last week I didn't get let down. week one, it were a tough week. Let's ride the high and let's have another big week. 'Cause I think these are all smart. There's no silly ones, and we've even gone safe. And I think viewers of the show over the last 3 years will be a bit disappointed by this, but on the touchdown treble, we've gone safe here. We've gone steady, and I think we've gone smart. Most importantly, because we need to hit one. It's been a couple of years now. Bish, take us through the touchdown treble.
Yeah, so I've straight up there and just backing my bets. I've gone Tony Pollard, and I was actually surprised to see his price is 6-4 to get a touchdown there, which I'm pretty surprised at. And then obviously Derrick Henry there for the Ravens. We've spoke about him as well. And tag, as again, we've spoke about the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk will be the main wide receiver for Brock Purdy. So yeah, coming in there just under 8-1. So not as big as we've had previously, but we're looking to get on the board and get running.
The thing I like about it, Bish, like you said, it backs all of our bets. Each one probably links to something we've talked about today. 2 running backs. It's probably the safest position you can bank on a touchdown at least, and then tag, like as you said, it's Juwan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk as the offense. So chances are Brandon Ayuk will get into the red zone and get a touchdown if the points are flowing for San Fran. So yeah, I like it. It's a safe one. We'll get one in the books. It's still 8-1, or sorry, 7.75-1. So you're still getting your money's worth. And I think there's a high likelihood of this one getting in. And again, the action rolling, Bish. It's going to be a big week. We're going to review it next week. We'll all be showing off, saying how smart we all are. I can feel it in the air. But before we end it, Bish, and I'll let my excitement relax a bit. We'll go through our bets one more time. You from the top, Bish.
So bet 1, I've got Tony Pollard over 59.5 rushing yards. Bet 2 is Derrick Henry over 66.5 rushing yards. And bet 3 is Juwan Jennings over 40.5 receiving yards.
Boom. Get it. Do it as individuals. Land your easy money. Took it as a treble. Bish has done his research. Have some fun. My one, don't do as a treble because it'll be about 200 million to 1. But you can get on each bet individually. I've got the Bet365 bet boost of the week, even though they all technically are. Josh Jacobs, touchdown, 75 plus rushing, Green Bay to beat the Tennessee Titans. We've got second one, Chris Godwin, touchdown. Chris Godwin, 75 plus receiving yards, and him to get 5 plus receptions. I think it makes sense. PS2 on Mike Evans. Let's go, Chris Godwin. I'm backing you to the hilt here. There's not one odds we've not taken. And then the JoeMe bet builder, the crazy one. But I think it all makes up if you do your research. Chris Olave, 61 plus receiving yards. Saquon Barkley, 22.5 receiving yards. Rashid Shaheed over 47.5. Derek Carr over 1.5 rushing yards. Bit of fun there. Go 14-1. You don't need to put much on to join me, and as long as there's plenty of action in that game, it's going to make that bet very exciting. Bish, tags treble.
Tags treble. So the Bears versus the Colts, he's got under 43.5 total points. He's got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 6.5 on the handicap, and the Las Vegas Raiders -5 on the handicap.
That's
coming in at 6-1.
6-1, and then I'll take you through the touchdown treble week 3. I said we've gone safe. We've got Tony Pollard for the Tennessee Titans. That's Bish's pick. We've got Derrick Henry for the Ravens, my pick, and we've got Brandon Ayuk for tag. We've got 7.74-1. Good odds, nice safe bets, and I think well researched. I think you're still one up, Bish. Did anyone land a touchdown treble pick last week? Yeah, we had
a bad week last week. We all missed.
We all missed. We had a tough week on that one, but we're all playing it. I think more researched and more safer this week. We're not picking a random player from this there. We're picking the number one options. We're picking the men who will get the touchdowns on the team. Let's go, Bish. Big week ahead. I'm excited for Sunday. I'm deep in. I'm watching a million videos a day. I'll probably crash and burn if it goes bad in the next couple of weeks. If it goes good, I'm flying to the moon. Let's go, and I'll let you finish off because I'm non-stop at the moment. Take us through the end bit, Bish.
Yeah, a more digestible sort of 6 o'clock window. We've gone from 10 games down to, I think, 8 games this week. So, yeah, enjoy those. But yeah, please keep liking, subscribing, and passing it on to someone who you think will benefit from it. You know, Joe's 10 to 1. We had plenty of messages on the WhatsApp, you know, from people who got on it. You know, so Joe, there'll be plenty of drinks coming your way the next meetup we have. But yeah, please like, subscribe, pass it on, and enjoy week 3.
Enjoy week 3.